Hello. We will begin the session at 10:30 sharp. There's still 2 minutes to go. Yes, I think this is okay. Yeah, fine. So, good morning, everyone. So, as we begin this live session on Say Hi to Exams, and it has a second title in Malayalam, Parikshye Pedikenda. So, I welcome all the viewers to the session. Since this is a broadcast session, the viewers will not be able to speak, but we can surely have your comments, your questions, which can be put on the chat box. I'll make a note of all the questions that are raised in the session, and I will attempt to answer them as we progress through the session or at the end of the session. So, before we begin, let me introduce myself. I am Jay Prakash. I work as Assistant Professor of English at Government Women's Polytechnic College, Thrissur. So, as a preamble, let me just briefly tell you why I thought of doing this session on exams. Over the course of many years, I have observed that many students who are very good students, who study so well, who are very good at grasping the ideas, they understand the subject, their course so well. Yet, when it comes to exams, we find that many of them are not able to score as much as they are capable of. So I used to wonder why is this so. And the reason seems to be that the students get a lot of training in many things, but they do not get adequate training on how to prepare for exams and, more importantly, how to present themselves for the exams. So this is the reason for preparing this video on how to prepare for exams. And the second title in Malayalam, Parikshye Pedikenda. ഏകദേശം 30 വർഷം മുമ്പ് കേരളത്തിലെ ഒരു പ്രസിദ്ധമായ ബാലപ്രസിദ്ധീകരണം പുറത്തിറക്കിയ ഒരു കൈപ്പുസ്തകമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അവരുടെ ബാലപ്രസിദ്ധീകരണത്തിൻ്റെ കൂടെ കൊടുത്ത ഒരു കൈപ്പുസ്തകമാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ പേരാണ് പരീക്ഷയെ പേടിക്കേണ്ട. അത് അന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് പരീക്ഷ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ഭീകര സത്വമായി വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾ എല്ലാവരും കണ്ടിരുന്ന ഒരു കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ അതൊരു വിപ്ലവാത്മകമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു മാറ്റമായിരുന്നു ആ കൈപ്പുസ്തകം കൊണ്ട് അന്നത്തെ കാലത്തുണ്ടായത്. പക്ഷെ ഇന്ന് പരീക്ഷകൾ വളരെ സാർവത്രികവും ദൈനംദിനവും എന്ന പോലെ നടക്കുന്ന ഒരു കാലഘട്ടത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ജീവിക്കുന്നത്. മിക്ക പഠന വിഷയങ്ങളും സെമസ്റ്റർ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലായതോടുകൂടി അടിക്കടിയുള്ള പരീക്ഷകൾ, ഇടയ്ക്കിടെ നടക്കുന്ന പരീക്ഷകൾ വളരെ സാധാരണമായി മാറിയിരിക്കാം. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ പരീക്ഷയെ എങ്ങനെ നേരിടണം എന്നുള്ളതിനെ കുറിച്ച് വളരെ ഗഹനമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അറിവ് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു സംവാദം നമുക്കിവിടെ യൂട്യൂബിൽ ലൈവായിട്ട് നടത്താമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു. So let us begin by thinking of when we can start preparing for the exams. Usually students wait for the announcement of the exams. They wait for the timetable to be published, and then they start preparing for the exams. So when should we really start preparing for the exams? So ideally, the preparation for exams should begin on the first day of the semester. That is, when the student starts studying the course, he should start preparing. So that is the ideal situation, which very rarely happens. But this is how a serious student has to prepare for the exam. What should be done when the course begins, when the program begins, the degree or the diploma begins? What should the student do? The very beginning, what he or she should do is to collect the syllabus of the course that she is doing, find out the recommended books, and collect the previous question papers that they have to prepare. Because the question papers are a model on what the exams would be like. Another thing is that they should mark the textbooks that are to be studied, buy those textbooks or borrow those textbooks from the library. And when they study, the important point should be marked on the textbook with a pencil, so that when they go back to the text, they can easily find out the important areas that have to be covered. And a serious student will also discuss with their friends, teachers, or any other knowledgeable person the topics which they find to be very difficult to understand. So that is the way a serious student prepares for the exams. And educationists all over, they have the opinion that if you want to learn well, it is to learn to teach. That is, we can teach our friends a course that we do, a subject that we learn. We can study that subject, and when we teach it to somebody else, it becomes part of us. We become experts in that subject, because when we have to teach, we have to know the subject from all the different angles that the subject is to be understood. So that is a very great advantage when we learn. If we have somebody whom we can teach, there will be always somebody who knows better than us in some subjects, or who knows lesser than us in some subjects. So we can actually learn with each other, mutual help, mutual learning. So that is also a method by which we can prepare for the exams. And as the title in Malayalam says, പരീക്ഷയെ പേടിക്കണ്ട. പേടി മാറ്റിയാൽ തന്നെ പകുതി പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ കുറയും എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഏത് കാര്യത്തിനും. നമ്മൾ ഏത് കാര്യത്തിന് ഇറങ്ങി പുറപ്പെടുമ്പോഴും ഭയം മാറ്റുകയാണെങ്കിൽ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് കൂടുതൽ മികച്ച രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ പരീക്ഷയെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഭയത്തിനെ മാറ്റി നിർത്തുക എന്നുള്ളത് വളരെ പ്രധാനമാണ്. There are two kinds of stress. It is not that we don't need any stress. There are two kinds of stress. Some stress is needed, that is called good stress or eustress. It is EUS. I'll type it in the box. It is called eustress. The stress that is beneficial, useful, is called eustress. And the other stress is called distress. So this is the kind of stress that we have to avoid. Distress is what we have to avoid, and eustress is what we need to perform. For example, I do this session, and if I don't have any anxiety on how my session would go, I would not prepare. I would not have anything to say during this session. So some amount of stress is actually good, and therefore for exams some amount of stress is required so that we have some preparation. And generally it is observed that because of this distress, students do not sleep well. especially on the previous days of the exams. I have seen students who collapse in the examination hall because they did not sleep the previous night. So, what use is that sleepless night when you are not able to write the examination? You collapse in the examination hall. So, sleep is not actually a waste of time. It is actually a requirement, a biological requirement of the human body. In fact, sleep reinforces learning. This is something that each one of us can experiment and see and understand. That if we have to learn a subject, if you have to learn a topic, if we read and understand the topic during the night, if we have a good sleep, in the morning when we get up, the memory of that we learned in the previous night is much greater than what we had on the previous night. The same amount of reinforcement of memory would not have happened if we had learned something on the same day and uh, written it on the exam for the same day. So, sleep is not something which has to be avoided. It is very important. Every individual needs at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Students, especially, they need to sleep. Sleep should not be sacrificed. Sleep is not something that should be sacrificed for preparation for exams. And at home, a peaceful environment is needed to prepare for the exams. We have to be very calm in our mind. For that, we could do some practices of relaxation or meditation. We'll discuss about it later. And we should have a separate area for studies. We should have some area where we could sit and study so that we are not distracted. No distraction means no TV, no television, no mobiles, no magazines, comics, etc. And some students, they have this practice of lying down and studying. So that is also not a good practice. It is not good for studying because we will soon fall asleep when we lie down and study. And another thing is that people think that if you have some music, if you put some music on your headphones and then study, you will study better. No, it will not happen like that. Because ചിലർ ഇങ്ങനെ ഹെഡ്ഫോണൊക്കെ വെച്ചിട്ട് പാട്ടൊക്കെ കേട്ടുകൊണ്ടാണ് പഠിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ പാട്ട് കേൾക്കുന്നത് നല്ലതാണ്. പക്ഷെ അത് പഠിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് പാട്ട് കേട്ടുകൊണ്ട് പഠിക്കുന്നത് നല്ലതാണ് എന്നുള്ളൊരു തെറ്റിദ്ധാരണയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അത് പാട്ടല്ല, ഒരു ഇൻസ്ട്രുമെൻ്റൽ മ്യൂസിക് ആണെങ്കിൽ നല്ലതാണോ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അതും നല്ലതല്ല. കാരണം ഏത് തരത്തിലുള്ള നമ്മുടെ ശ്രദ്ധ തിരിക്കുന്ന എന്ത് വസ്തുവിനും നമ്മളുടെ പഠനത്തിനെ നേരിട്ട് ബാധിക്കുവാനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കും. പഠനം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മനുഷ്യനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഒരു കാര്യത്തിലേക്ക് ശ്രദ്ധ കേന്ദ്രീകരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വ്യക്തിക്ക് മറ്റൊരു കാര്യത്തിലേക്ക് ശ്രദ്ധ ക്ഷണിക്കപ്പെടുമ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ നിന്നും ശ്രദ്ധയാണ് വിഭജിച്ചു പോകുന്നത്. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും മനസ്സിന് ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഒരേ സമയത്ത് ചെയ്യുവാൻ സാധിക്കുമെങ്കിലും ഈ ചെയ്യുന്ന പ്രവൃത്തിയിലുള്ള ഫലപ്രാപ്തി, കാര്യക്ഷമത ചെയ്യുന്ന പ്രവൃത്തികളുടെ എണ്ണം കൂടുന്നതനുസരിച്ച് കുറയും, കാര്യക്ഷമത കുറയും. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ when you study, we should avoid any kind of distractions. So having some music on the headphones is not something I would recommend. People may say that they have got multiple capabilities, ability to handle multiple tasks at the same time. But my opinion is that doing something else along with your studies, like listening to music, will actually hamper the learning experience. So I would not recommend that we use headphones to listen to music while studying. So, talking about exams, we should take it seriously, but we should also not be too much bothered about it. For example, when we talk of a 3-hour exam, it is not actually capable of measuring something that we have learned over the semester or 1 year. 3 മണിക്കൂർ പരീക്ഷ കൊണ്ട് ഒരു വിദ്യാർത്ഥിയുടെ ഒരു വർഷത്തെയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 6 മാസത്തെയോ ഒരു സെമസ്റ്ററിലെയോ അറിവിനെ അളക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുമെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ നമുക്കറിയാം അത് അത്ര അർത്ഥവത്തായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആശയമല്ല. ബട്ട് it is for want of a better method, exams are something that cannot be avoided. The forms of the exams may change. Now we have the corona pandemic. The format of the exams may change. When it comes to online exams, it may change to MCQs, multiple choice questions, but the exams are here to stay. They will not go away. So until and unless we find out some method by which some better method by which exams can be avoided. So for now, exams are something that cannot be avoided. But we should have a different outlook towards exams. പരീക്ഷയെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് നമ്മളുടെ കാഴ്ചപ്പാടിലാണ് കുറേ മാറ്റങ്ങൾ വരുത്തുന്നത്. പരീക്ഷ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിനെ ഒരു ഭീകരസത്വമായി കാണാതെ, പേടിക്കേണ്ട ഒന്നായി കാണാതെ, നമ്മുടെ കഴിവുകൾ പ്രദർശിപ്പിക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു അവസരമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കണക്കാക്കാൻ. അങ്ങനെയാണല്ലോ നമ്മൾ കലാമത്സരങ്ങളിൽ, കായിക മത്സരങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ പങ്കെടുക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ആ മത്സരത്തിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന ഭയത്തോടെയല്ലല്ലോ വീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ അതിനോട് വളരെ താല്പര്യത്തോടെയാണ് വീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്. വി ആക്ച്വലി ലുക്ക് ഫോർവേഡ് ടു participating in arts competitions, sports competitions, etc. So why this disparity in our approach towards exams? So that is something which we could avoid, that we have a very positive attitude towards attending exams. For example, if an athlete practices for a long time, many months, many weeks, day and night, she practices, she does a lot of heavy workout, and at the end, if there is no championship to look forward to, what is the motivation for the athlete? Similarly, we should take exams as an opportunity to showcase our abilities, our knowledge, so that it gives us some sense of happiness, some sense of contentment that I have actually learned something. So this is an approach that should be used when we approach exams. So that can bring about a lot of change in how we perform ourselves in exams. As I said, we have to get ourselves organized. Organizing ourselves is a very important thing when it comes to exams. Organized in which all manners? That is, we should have a daily routine. We get up at some time, we go to sleep at some time, we have a particular time for our studies. So that kind of a timetable, especially a study timetable, is something that every student has to create if she has to perform well for the exams. And we have to plan our studies. So the exam is next month or next week. According to that, the timetable will become very vigorous or less vigorous. And it should not be uniformly, the time should not be very uniformly distributed. ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള വിഷയങ്ങൾക്ക് കൂടുതൽ സമയം നമ്മൾ ചെലവഴിക്കണം. എളുപ്പമുള്ള വിഷയങ്ങൾക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള വിഷയങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള അതിൻ്റെ പകുതി പോലും സമയം ചിലപ്പോൾ ആവശ്യം വരില്ലായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷേ അതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ എളുപ്പമുള്ള വിഷയങ്ങളെ പൂർണ്ണമായി അവഗണിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ ഏറ്റവും കുറവ് മാർക്ക് വാങ്ങിക്കാനുള്ള സാഹചര്യവും ചിലപ്പോൾ ഉണ്ടാവും. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇതിനെ ഒരു സന്തുലിതമായിട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകാനായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കണം. There should be a balance in our studies, that we devote some excess time to our difficult subjects, but at the same time, we also devote a minimal time to the easy subjects too, so that they are not avoided, they do not suffer at the cost of the other difficult subjects. So that is a balance that we need to bring about in our learning practice. And how to learn? What is the best method of learning a topic? Is to write and learn. Writing. And when I talk about writing, it is not some exercise that is ineffective. Writing is considered by many teachers to be a memory tool. What we write remains in our memory. So let us look at what are the different reasons why we should write and learn, when we should write and learn, and how we should write and learn. The why is already explained. It means that when we write and learn, the learning is reinforced many times rather than reading something multiple times. Writing something, we are actually bringing in another sense. We are not just using our eyes to read and our mind to understand what is right. We are also involving the sense of touch to the writing. So the more of us is getting involved in the learning process, and that is one major reason why we should use writing to learn. And when should we write and learn? At every possible occasion. That is the answer for when we should write and learn. I have seen students in class. They have their desk like that of a corporate manager, no papers at all, and they sit as if they are sitting to watch a movie. സിനിമ കാണാൻ പോലെ ഇരിക്കുന്നത് പോലെയാണ് ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്നത്. കയ്യിൽ പുസ്തകവും ഇല്ല, പേരും ഇല്ല, ഒന്നുമില്ല. That is not something that will help assist learning. We should have some uh, paper or a notebook in front of us. We should have a pen with us and just jot down the points that the teacher may say. In fact, most of the teachers teach in with the point of view of the exam in their mind. Therefore, the points that the teachers explain in the class are worth noting down. And we don't have to write full sentences, just phrases, brief words, and we could even draw a diagram or something so that the idea is easily understood. So that is the purpose in writing, and our attention will not be distracted. Also, that is also another benefit. When we write down notes in class, our attention will remain in what is being discussed in the class. നമ്മുടെ ശ്രദ്ധ തെറ്റിപ്പോകാതിരിക്കാനും കൂടി ഇത് വളരെ ഉപകാരപ്രദമാണ്. ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ഇരിക്കുമ്പോൾ വെറുതെ ക്ലാസ്സിലിരുന്ന് കേട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കാതെ ഉറങ്ങിപ്പോകാനും സാധ്യതയുണ്ട് വെറുതെ അങ്ങനെ ഇരിക്കുമ്പോൾ. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ ഉറക്കത്തിലേക്ക് പോകാതിരിക്കാനും നമ്മൾ എഴുതിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മളുടെ ശ്രദ്ധ അതിലേക്ക് വരാനും നമുക്ക് ശ്രദ്ധ കൂടുതൽ സമയം നിലനിർത്താനും സാധിക്കും. പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ക്ലാസ് കേട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ശാസ്ത്ര പഠനങ്ങളെല്ലാം പറയുന്നത് 20 മിനിറ്റിൽ കൂടുതൽ ഒരു വ്യക്തിക്ക് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കില്ല എന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. ഇപ്പോൾ 20 മിനിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞു, ഈ സെഷൻ തന്നെ 20 മിനിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ 20 മിനിറ്റിൽ കൂടുതൽ ശ്രദ്ധ നിലനിർത്താൻ ആർക്കും സാധിക്കില്ല എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ 20 മിനിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? അതോടുകൂടി അപ്പോൾ വീണ്ടും നമ്മൾ ശ്രദ്ധയെ തിരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവരണമെങ്കിൽ ഇത്തരത്തിൽ നമ്മുടെ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നും എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു പ്രവർത്തനം, അതായത് എഴുതുന്നത് പോലെയുള്ള പ്രവർത്തനം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും നമുക്ക് ശ്രദ്ധ നിലനിർത്താനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കും. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ഹൗ writing helps. Another benefit of doing it is that after a long time or after many months or just before the exam, when we take this notebook which has the class notes, the lecture notes, the whole class immediately comes to our mind. We are able to recollect what the teacher discussed in the class. So that is a great benefit of listening and writing. So this writing brings out the whole memory. So it is a memory tool. It brings out the whole memory of the class, which otherwise we would have just remembered as some smoke. The class is not remembered otherwise. But the writing on the notebook reminds us of what the class was. Sometimes we are able to recollect the entire class, what the teacher said in the beginning, what she said in the middle of the class, and what she said towards the end. Everything could be recollected just by looking at the jottings, because these are jottings that I made, we made, and not somebody else made. So that is much more valuable. So we actually make the class our own rather than some subject that is taught by a teacher. The class becomes our own. We own the class. We have an ownership of the subject when we write something in the notebook. So that is something which will help us. And so we discussed why we should write. when we should write, and next is how we should write. So students are generally averse to writing. They do not like writing because writing is difficult. അപ്പോൾ കുട്ടികൾ എപ്പോഴും എഴുതാത്തത് പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ഇന്ന് എഴുത്ത് കുറഞ്ഞു വരുന്ന ഒരു കാലഘട്ടത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ജീവിക്കുന്നത്. എല്ലാം മൊബൈലിൽ നമ്മൾ ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടറിൽ ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ പേന ഉപയോഗിച്ച് എഴുതുന്നത് വളരെ വിരളമായിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ എഴുതാൻ പറയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഒരു താല്പര്യക്കുറവുണ്ടാവും. പക്ഷേ നമ്മൾ എഴുതുക എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നീണ്ട വാചകങ്ങളൊന്നും എഴുതാനായിട്ട് ഞാൻ ആവശ്യപ്പെടുന്നില്ല. It is not necessary to write very long sentences. We can just write phrases, small phrases, or even a picture to make us understand how the ideas have been explained by the teacher. And now it is not only in the classroom. After coming to our home, we could prepare for the exams also in such a similar manner. We could take an old notebook. We don't require a new notebook. We could take an old notebook. There could be many blank pages in old notebooks. We could take those old notebooks, find out the empty spaces in them, and draw some small spaces, or even use small spaces to write. For example, I have a specimen here. Here we can see that I have divided this page into various segments. That is, these boxes can be the spaces that we use to write about topics. And when we write about these topics, each box will contain an entire topic. The benefit of this is that the content will appear to be less intimidating. ഇറ്റ് വിൽ നോട്ട് സ്കെയർ us. നമുക്ക് ഭയം തോന്നില്ല. ഈ വലിയ ടോപ്പിക്കുകൾ നമ്മളൊരു ടെക്സ്റ്റ് നിറയെ കാണുന്നതിനേക്കാളും ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു ബോക്സിൽ, ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു പേജിൻ്റെ വശത്ത് നമ്മളത് എഴുതിയിടുമ്പോൾ അതിനെ വളരെ ചെറിയ വാക്കുകളിൽ, നമ്മൾ ചുരുങ്ങിയ വാക്കുകളിൽ നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലായതുപോലെ നമ്മൾ എഴുതിയിടുമ്പോൾ അതിൽ നമുക്ക് ഭയം തോന്നുന്നില്ല. പക്ഷെ ടെക്സ്റ്റിൽ, വലിയ പുസ്തകത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ ഈ വിഷയങ്ങൾ വിവരിച്ചത് കാണുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ ഭയം തോന്നും. So this is the benefit of jotting down as small pockets. So these, I call them pockets of information in an old notebook. So what happens is that such pages, 1 or 2 pages or even 3 or 4 pages, could take up an entire subject for a semester. So it becomes very handy. A subject which was once unwieldy becomes very easy to handle. When we see all the topics in just 2 or 3 pages, we find that, oh, is that all that I got to study? Then it is very easy. So this is the benefit when we prepare notes like this. And when for the previous day of exam, we don't have to take up the huge textbook. We can just use these notes that we have prepared, and we are easily able to recollect what we have learned. So this is one major method that we could use for writing, jotting down. And I said it is not actual writing, it is just jotting down. We just write down the phrases. മുഴുവൻ വാചകങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ ഒരിക്കലും എഴുതുന്നില്ല പഠിക്കാനായിട്ട്. നമ്മൾ ഇങ്ങനെ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള നോട്ടുകൾ തയ്യാറാക്കുമ്പോൾ പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടുള്ള വാചകങ്ങൾ എഴുതേണ്ട ആവശ്യവുമില്ല. This is for our understanding. So we need to write just small phrases. And these small phrases can help us understand, help us reinforce the memory of what we have learned. And we could even carry these things to the place of exam. When we go for the exam, I have seen students who carry huge books on digital computing principles or programming in C, 400-page, 500-page textbooks. And outside the exam hall, they are flipping through the pages in a frenzy on the day of exam, 10 minutes before the exam begins. I really don't understand. I'm unable to understand how they will be able to remember what they read 10 minutes before the examination. And at a time when they should be relaxed, at a time they should keep themselves calm, they are actually increasing their panic, which actually negatively affects the performance in the exam. പരീക്ഷയുടെ മുമ്പ്, പരീക്ഷയ്ക്ക് കുറച്ച് സമയം മുമ്പ്, 10 മിനിറ്റ് മുമ്പ് പരീക്ഷാ ഹാളിന് പുറത്തിരുന്ന് 500 പേജ് 600 പേജുള്ള പുസ്തകങ്ങൾ മറിച്ച് നോക്കിയാൽ നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെയാണ് പരീക്ഷയ്ക്ക് കൂടുതൽ മാർക്ക് നേടുക എന്നുള്ളത് എനിക്ക് ഇപ്പോഴും മനസ്സിലാകുന്നില്ല. So this is one method that we could use. If we could carry these points with us for the exam center, just before the exam we could just go through the points and everything will flash in our memory, and it would be easy for us to perform better. So this is a useful technique. Another useful technique that I would suggest is mind mapping, which is now becoming very popular. That is, this is a typical mind map where we have the general idea which is written in the middle in a box, and we can see that it is branching out into subtopics, and they are all small branches. It is said that this is the manner in which our brain is wired, and if we learn using such diagrams, it would be easier for us to understand topics, to retain them in our memory. I'll share with you the site address of a website which discusses mind mapping, so that we could get a better understanding of what this topic is all about. So please go through the link which is there on the chat box. It would help us to get a better understanding of mind mapping, and to use this technique to perform better in the exams, prepare ourselves better for the exams. So this is on jotting and learning, and I would consider, among all the methods for preparing for the exam, I would consider this jotting and learning as the best, because this is something which is tested and proven. So any method that we take should be based on some amount of evidence. So this has a lot of evidence. Over many years, over many centuries, people have tested and found that jotting and learning is a very good method for learning. So I would recommend this to all the students who prepare themselves for the exams. Another major aspect is to hunt for old question papers. What is there in old question papers? So in old question papers, we find a lot of guidance on how to prepare for the exam. It could be found that more than 10 to 20% of the questions and the question papers that we see could be from old question papers. So when we hunt old question papers and study them and learn them, we actually get 10 to 20% of marks already, even without preparing the other topics. So that is a very good method. And the volume to learn can be reduced, because the syllabus may say that once a lot of topics are covered, but actually the question paper may not contain all the topics. So the volume that we learn, or that we need to learn, is getting reduced, which means that our burden to learn is getting reduced if we use these old question papers. പഴയ ചോദ്യ പേപ്പറുകൾ നമ്മൾ അത് മിക്കപ്പോഴും അത് ലൈബ്രറികളിൽ അവൈലബിൾ ആയിരിക്കും. അതല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളുടെ വെബ്സൈറ്റുകളിൽ ഈ പഴയ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പേഴ്സ് കിട്ടും. ഈ പഴയ ചോദ്യ പേപ്പറുകൾ നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കുന്നതിലൂടെ നമുക്ക് പഠിക്കുവാനുള്ള ഒരു ഭാരം കുറയുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. And not only that, it builds confidence in the student that she could appear and perform better in the exam. And when we get such question papers, we should also try to answer them in an exam mode. I find that most of the students, they appear for the exams and see the question paper pattern for the first time in the exam hall. So that is not something that is recommended for a serious student. We have to answer in exam mode. That is, വീട്ടിൽ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് ഈ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ചോദ്യ പേപ്പർ എടുത്ത് അതിൽ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള 3 മണിക്കൂറിന് പരീക്ഷയാണെങ്കിൽ 3 മണിക്കൂർ നമ്മൾ തീരുമാനിച്ച് ആ 3 മണിക്കൂർ ഇരുന്ന് അത് പരീക്ഷയ്ക്ക് എങ്ങനെയാണോ നമ്മൾ പരീക്ഷാ ഹാളിൽ ഇരുന്ന് പരീക്ഷ എഴുതുന്നത്, അതുപോലെ നമ്മൾ വീട്ടിലിരുന്ന് പരീക്ഷ എഴുതുകയാണെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും പരീക്ഷയിൽ മികച്ച രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് ഫലം പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കാം, മികച്ച രീതിയിലുള്ളൊരു റിസൾട്ട് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടും. So that is one method that we should try to implement, that is to prepare in exam mode. So that is very helpful for preparing for the exams. And another thing is many professional courses like CA and CMA, they have their sites where the suggested answers of the previous exams are also given. If you go to their site, not only the question papers are available, we also get the suggested answers. So we know what kind of questions and answers, what kind of answers that the examiners expect for the questions that they have given. So that is also a very, very good method for preparing ourselves for the exams, to go through the suggested answers, not only the question papers. And another important thing is that after doing all this preparation, if we still panic, it is going to negatively affect us in the exam. So what should we do? How to behave in the exam hall is something very important. So exam hall is something very interesting for the teacher to observe. Though the students are very serious about the exam, the evaluator, the invigilator, the person who stands in the exam hall, finds that it is very curious that if there are 30 students in the exam hall, 30 students take the same exam, but they perform in different ways. They studied in the same class, they were taught by the same teachers, yet they perform differently in the exams. Surely the reason is the difference in preparation for the exam. So, okay, we have already discussed the preparation for the exam. So, what should we do in the exam hall? How do we carry ourselves into the exam hall? How do we sit there? And how do we write the exam? First of all, no studying immediately before the exam. That is nothing, never 10-15 minutes before the exam, we don't read anything. We just sit in the exam hall. We just sit and relax. Once we get the question paper, we do not immediately start answering. ചോദ്യ പേപ്പർ കിട്ടിയ ഉടനെ ഉത്തരം എഴുതാൻ തുടങ്ങുന്നില്ല. നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് സമയം ഈ ചോദ്യ പേപ്പർ ഒന്ന് വായിച്ചു നോക്കാനായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ശ്രമിക്കണം. You should try to read and understand the question paper. Most of the errors in exams happen because we have not read the questions properly. പരീക്ഷ കഴിഞ്ഞ് വീട്ടിൽ വരുമ്പോഴായിരിക്കും നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത് ചോദ്യം ഇതായിരുന്നു, ഞാൻ എഴുതിയത് മറ്റെന്തോ ആയിരുന്നു. If we could have understood, if we had this realization at the exam hall, we could have avoided such unnecessary errors. So it is very important to be alert and to read the questions properly before we start answering them. And at the exam hall, we have no other business other than to write the answers to the questions. So an ideal student cannot lift his or her pen from the paper when they prepare for the exam. That is, the exams are designed in such a way that the entire time, for example, of 3 hours, is required to answer all the questions that are there in the question paper. So if we require lesser time, it means that we have not prepared ourselves for the exam, or we have not given proper answers to the questions. So an ideal student will find that the time of the exam is just enough to complete his or her answers. And the questions, another major mistake that students usually make is that they do not properly number the questions. The questions have to be properly numbered according to the number in the question paper. So the evaluator should not have to search for the numbers and to give you marks according to the answer. So we have to number them properly so that it appears very neat. Copying is an absolute no-no in the examination hall, not from your neighbor, not from anybody else. Whatever we know, we write, and no bluffing. It could be easily found out by the evaluator. If you don't know the answer of something and you write something, trying to make the evaluator feel that this is the answer, such bluffing does not help in the exam paper. And when we answer questions, we should answer to the point. ചോദ്യത്തിനാണ് ഉത്തരം. അരി എത്ര എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ പയറഞ്ഞാഴി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് പോലെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ചോദിച്ചാൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും മറുപടി എഴുതിയാൽ മാർക്ക് കിട്ടില്ല. And writing a lot also doesn't help. It is not the volume of your answer that is awarded marks. It is for the points that we write that are given marks. So therefore, to write the relevant points for the question is a very important skill that every student has to acquire. Answer to the point. Even if it is a very question which has a lot of marks, just write the points and you are not likely to lose many marks. So writing to the point is a very important thing. And even if we complete the exam before the end of exam time, we should remain in the examination hall. It is a very good practice to never get out before the exam ends. So what the benefit is that we are able to go through the answers. Surely there would be some inadvertent errors. നമ്മൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാതെ പോയ ചില അബദ്ധങ്ങൾ, നമ്മളെ മനഃപൂർവ്വം അല്ലാതെ വരുത്തിയ ചില തെറ്റുകൾ നമുക്ക് തിരുത്തുവാനുള്ളൊരു സമയം കിട്ടും. പരീക്ഷ പൂർണ്ണമായും കഴിയുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് പരീക്ഷാ ഹാളിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരിക്കലും നമ്മൾ പുറത്തിറങ്ങാൻ പാടില്ല. പരീക്ഷ കഴിയുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് പുറത്തിറങ്ങുന്നത് നമ്മൾ സിനിമ കഴിയുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് പുറത്തിറങ്ങുന്ന പോലെയാണ്. സിനിമയുടെ ക്ലൈമാക്സ് ആകുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് നമ്മൾ പുറത്തിറങ്ങുന്നത് പോലെ. അപ്പോൾ സിനിമയ്ക്ക് നമ്മൾ 3 മണിക്കൂർ സിനിമ നമ്മൾ 2 മണിക്കൂർ ആകുമ്പോൾ ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോകും എന്നതുപോലെ പരീക്ഷ അതിൻ്റെ പൂർണ്ണമായും ആ പരീക്ഷ കഴിയുന്നത് വരെ നമ്മൾ പരീക്ഷാ ഹാളിൽ ഇരിക്കണം. നമ്മുടെ പരീക്ഷാ പേപ്പർ വീണ്ടും സൂക്ഷ്മമായി വായിച്ചു നോക്കണം, തെറ്റുകളുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ തിരുത്തണം, ചോദ്യപേപ്പറുമായി വീണ്ടും താരതമ്യം ചെയ്ത് എന്തൊക്കെ മാറ്റങ്ങൾ വരുത്തണമോ അതൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് വരുത്തുവാനുള്ള സമയം നമുക്ക്. So never get out of the exam hall. I find that many students, I have seen students getting out 1 hour after the exam begins, or 1 hour is left. This is a 3-hour exam. After 2 hours they are finished. And even those who sit for 3 hours, half of the time they are sleeping inside the examination hall. They write one answer, they lie down on the desk, then they get up, then they write one answer. So this is not something that is advisable in an exam hall. We should have, actually the time should not be enough for us. As I said in the beginning, we should not be able to lift our pen from the paper. That is the mode in which we have to write the exams. And in the answer books, we should never reveal our identity because it sends a negative signal about us that we are trying to influence the examiner. So we should never reveal our identity in the exam. And students should know what happens after we write the exam, because many students may not have an idea of how this valuation is done. So valuation, like the exam is a serious business, the valuation is also a serious affair. And students have a very wrong understanding of valuation. They think that all the papers are put together and somebody just go through these papers and they put some marks. It's not like that. It is, though it is very serious, it is a very relaxed one. In most exams, depending on the type of exam, it may vary, but generally, at most, a teacher would have to value just 30 papers in a day. Just 30 papers in a day. So they get a lot of time to go through each answer book and evaluate the answers and award necessary marks. They do read. അവർ വായിച്ചു നോക്കും. പല വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളുടെയും ധാരണ പരീക്ഷാ മൂല്യനിർണ്ണയത്തിൽ അധ്യാപകർ വന്നിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ അവർ വായിച്ചൊന്നും നോക്കുന്നില്ല, വെറുതെ പേജുകൾ മറിച്ച് നോക്കി മാർക്ക് ഇടുകയാണെന്നുള്ളൊരു തെറ്റിദ്ധാരണയുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെയല്ല. The evaluators do read because they do get a lot of time. They just need to go through 30 papers, sometimes less than that, 25 or 20, depending on the exam. But generally, it is just not more than 30 papers a day, and they do read. And what is the importance of this? They can find out copying. If we have copied from somebody else's answer script, it could be easily found out at the evaluation center. And another trick that students, candidates usually do is that they repeat the answers. That is, they may know only answers to 4 questions. 4 ചോദ്യത്തിനുള്ള ഉത്തരം അറിയുള്ളൂ. എന്നിട്ട് അത് പല സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലായിട്ട് എഴുതി വയ്ക്കും. ഉത്തരക്കടലാസിൻ്റെ പല ഭാഗങ്ങളിലായിട്ട് എഴുതി വയ്ക്കും. അപ്പോൾ അവർ വിചാരിക്കുന്നത് ഈ ചോദ്യത്തിനുള്ള ഉത്തരം എനിക്കറിയാം, അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൻ്റെ മാർക്ക് പല ഭാഗങ്ങളിലായിട്ട് വീഴുമ്പോൾ ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടെ കൂട്ടിയിട്ട് എനിക്കൊരു നല്ല മാർക്ക് കിട്ടും. പക്ഷെ മാർക്ക് ഇടുന്നത് നമ്മൾ എഴുതിയ ഉത്തരത്തിൻ്റെ തൊട്ടടുത്തൊന്നുമല്ല. There is a separate table where marks are awarded. And if suppose it is the 10th question that you have repeated, once the evaluator has given marks for the 10th question, when he comes across the question again, even if you have forgotten that you have written the question, when he comes to give the marks, she will find that the marks are already awarded, and then the evaluator will realize that this answer has been repeated. So what happens to us? We cut a very sorry figure before the evaluator. So the question papers are, the answer books are our representatives. So what we become before the examiner, we become a person who is trying to cheat in the exam. So when we write the answer book and submit it, we are actually submitting ourselves. The answer books are our personality. They are our representatives, which are being judged. And when they are being judged, we are actually being judged. So in the answers that we write in the answer book, the kind of picture of ourselves that we paint through the answers that we write determines the kind of result that we would get in the exam. If we cut a very sorry figure of ourselves in the answer books, we cannot expect good results in the examination. So it is very important that we are honest in writing the answers and never repeat answers, unless if we have made some mistake, we can strike it off and write the correct answer. And writing a legible hand also helps to secure better marks. Neat handwriting is always a good idea. To develop a neat handwriting, we should have to, again, as I said in the beginning, a lot of practice in writing is required. And what is the benefit of neat handwriting? Evaluation is done, as I said, in a continuous manner. When the evaluator sees different scripts one after the other, it actually causes a strain upon the eye of the examiner if they are forced to read difficult scripts. If our handwriting is easy to read, it actually relaxes the examiner, that because the examiner can understand what is being written much more easily. If they have to train themselves to read, then it puts a lot of pressure upon the evaluator also. So to develop a neat handwriting is a prerequisite for performing better in our exams. And when we answer the questions, it should be sequenced properly. The questions should be sequenced properly. It is all right when we write some answers, if we write the answers to questions that we know better in the beginning. But it should not be completely jumbled. ആദ്യം ഒരു ഒന്നാമത്തെ ചോദ്യത്തിന് ഉത്തരം എഴുതി, പിന്നെ 10ാമത്തെ ചോദ്യത്തിന് ഉത്തരം എഴുതി, പിന്നെ 15ാമത്തേന് എഴുതി, പിന്നെ 6ാമത്തേന് എഴുതി, പിന്നെ 13ാമത്തേന് എഴുതി. അങ്ങനെ പല സ്ഥലത്തു നിന്നും ഉത്തരങ്ങൾ എഴുതുന്നത് മൂല്യനിർണ്ണയത്തിൻ്റെ സമയത്ത് മൂല്യനിർണ്ണയം ചെയ്യുന്ന അധ്യാപകർക്ക് വലിയൊരു തലവേദനയായി മാറും. കഴിയുമെങ്കിൽ കൃത്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ഓർഡറിൽ എഴുതി പോകുന്നതാണ് നല്ലത്. കുറച്ചൊക്കെ ചിലതൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് വളരെ എളുപ്പമുണ്ട് എന്ന് തോന്നുന്നത് എഴുതാമെന്നല്ലാതെ മൊത്തത്തിൽ പരീക്ഷയുടെ ചോദ്യപേപ്പറിൻ്റെ നമ്പറുകളെ ക്രമങ്ങളെ തെറ്റിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് എഴുതുന്നത് അത്ര നല്ലതായിരിക്കില്ല. ആൻഡ് അനദർ major lapse that students make is that they write a part of the answer in one page and they start answering another question, and the rest of the answer, the remaining part of the answer of one question is written in some other page, and they put some brackets, continued in page so and so and so. So that is also not a very good practice. When we have started answering a question, we should try to complete it before we move on to the next question. And writing a lot, as I said in the beginning, writing to the point is what is important. It is not writing long passages. It is not the volume of information that we provide that is evaluated. It is the matter, the points that we write that is counted. And generally students have a misunderstanding that it is evaluation is done by counting the number of pages in the answer book. It is not done so. എത്ര പേജ് എഴുതി എന്നുള്ളതിനനുസരിച്ചല്ല നമുക്ക് മാർക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നത്, എന്ത് എഴുതി എന്നുള്ളതിനനുസരിച്ചാണ് നമുക്ക് മാർക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ജഡ്ജ്മെന്റ് ഇൻ എ കോർട്ട്. ഒരു കോടതിയിൽ നമ്മളെ വിധിക്കാൻ വെക്കുന്നത് പോലെയുള്ള ഒരു പ്രവർത്തനമല്ല തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും മൂല്യനിർണ്ണയത്തിൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. മൂല്യനിർണ്ണയത്തിന് വരുന്ന അധ്യാപകരോട് പറയുന്നത് തന്നെ കുട്ടിക്ക് എന്തറിയാം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ പരിശോധിക്കുന്നത്, എന്തറിയില്ല എന്നുള്ളതല്ല. So the evaluators are trying to find out what we know rather than what we don't know. So what should we do in the answers? In the answers, we should write the keywords that the answer provides. So if the keywords are there, if the keywords to the answers are there, we can be sure that we would be performing better in the exam. So when we answer, if we could even underline some important points, so the evaluator would understand that this student has gone through the questions properly, this student has understood the idea properly, and therefore he or she has done this research on the study, on the topic properly, and has provided the answers. And it also gives the appearance. So as I said in the beginning, it is actually an exposure of our personality before the evaluator. So the marks are not reduced for a student who writes a very small volume but has all the points. So it is the points, it is the keywords that we provide in the answer that gets us the required marks. So this is also an important aspect of the exam. And as I said in the beginning, a calm mind is required for anyone to perform better in the examination. For that, to perform better in the examination, it is always good to train ourselves to become relaxed in our mind without having a lot of panic, anxiety. And a commonly tried and tested method of reducing our panic and anxiety is to practice relaxation and meditation every day. So one such technique of meditation or relaxation, which is offered freely all over the world, is a system called heartfulness, which you may find useful. And I provide the link to that website here. You can go to that website. We can learn directly online from trainers. This is offered free of cost, and we can practice this meditation to train ourselves to develop our concentration, because most of the students complain that they are not able to concentrate on their studies, and most of the time is lost. So we sit to study, but we have many different thoughts, and at the end of 1 hour we realize that we had sat to study about 1 hour ago, but we haven't learned anything. The mind had gone in different directions. So to train the mind to focus, a regular practice of meditation would be helpful. Like we have exercises for the body, mind also requires exercise. And it is the mind that is least given any exercise in the modern world. And it is the mind that most requires some kind of exercise, and meditation and relaxation are good exercises for the mind. So what happens when we meditate? The mind becomes focused, and concentration becomes effortless. Without taking any efforts, we are able to focus ourselves in our studies, and therefore we are able to perform better. So devoting some time to meditation is not a waste. It is like training a dog. We train a dog for a few minutes or 1 hour every day, but the effect of the training remains for the uh, rest of the 23 hours. Similarly, when we train the mind for some time every day, it helps us to remain focused and perform better, not only in our studies but also in our daily activities. As I said in the beginning, what we generally need is a balance, and this balance is lost, and therefore we are unable to perform not only in the exams but also in our daily life. So that drawback can be rectified if we also practice this meditation. Kindly visit this website, heartfulness.org. We can learn this session on meditation from online trainers, which is offered free of cost. In 3 days, we can learn the entire practice, and we can start doing and understanding the benefit, not rather than me telling me of the benefits of meditation. If we practice and find out the benefits of meditation, that would be more convincing for us. So, putting all these things together, I would like to conclude that not only exams, any kind of a hurdle that is before us could be overcome if we have the proper planning and preparation on how to overcome that. So, exams are only one among the various hurdles that we come across in our life, and we will soon realize that exams were a lesser of hurdles than the kind of hurdles that we encounter later in our life. So, I wish all the best to the students who are going to appear in the ensuing exams, the exams that are going to happen in the next week and the week after or later. Uh, I hope and pray that all of you will perform well in the exams and bring good results to yourself and for your institution. We have just a couple of minutes to go. If we have any questions, you can please type it in the chat box. We can try to have also a discussion. I would actually have uh, love to have even discussion in the middle of the session, but I don't find any questions in the chat box. So with this, I think we will conclude the session if we don't have any questions. We have just 1 more minute. I'll just wait for 1 more minute and we will close the session. So before I end, I would like to thank everyone, all the participants who have participated during different times. Many of them could not remain through the entire 1 hour because of their responsibilities they may have had during this weekend. But many have come and went in between the session. I thank every one of them for listening to the session, and I hope that this session will go a long way in making the path of exams clearer, easier for you. Wishing you all a wonderful weekend and a great time of exams, which will be not of fear but of favor for you. I sign off. Thank you once again.